It means if he never plays another football game again, worst case scenario is the second greatest quarterback ever.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah,
that's good.
So this is with winning Sunday and then unknown what happens this in the Super Bowl. Here's what it would look like.
If he went 3-2 in the Super Bowl. Okay.
Well, so we don't.
Let's do one step at a time.
You're saying worst case scenario. So let's say they do lose
they
the
win
Super Bowl.
Sunday, lose, and he walks away.
Okay.
He's like, you know what I mean? I'm done. My work here is done. Here, so he will. The graphic for Super Bowl starts in a 6-year stretch. By the way, so he will have that record, and also the 5 Super Bowl starts will be the second most ever.
Yeah.
With Elway behind only Brady. He'll be second, so he'll be second place in Super Bowl appearances. He's already second place in conference finals. He's second place. He will be second place by himself in playoff wins with 17. And he will potentially, if they were to win the Super Bowl, be tied for second place in Super Bowl wins. As far as his career against the other guys kind of in the discussion for second best quarterback ever that I hear more than others. Now, maybe some people will be like, I'm a Dan Marino guy, but those are the names I hear. Again, even without the Super Bowl win, to me, he'll have him clocked. And so that's the career comparison.
So you would put him, because I've already said I think he's second best. But the argument would be Montana.
The argument would be Montana. The counter argument to that is the Mahomes has won Super Bowl, the first one, without an all-time defense. Montana didn't. Montana, those teams were stacked on both sides, and I just think his overall resume and the fact that he never had down years, all of it, I think he's already the second greatest quarterback ever.
Agree,
and I think you agree, but I think this would have it all trumped. But what's to me more interesting is this last one. It would be the greatest 20s in any of the big 3 major sports.
Stay on here for a second. There's a lot to consume here.
So Gretzky, by the way, again, this is our annual reminder that Wayne Gretzky was just a make-believe person because he won 9 MVPs before he turned 30. They do it a little different in hockey. They're like, is he the best guy?
Right.
Makes sense.
He wins.
You're the great one.
They got it right.
Give it to you.
The rest of us have
we got to give one.
So here are, the other guys. So it is Ruthian. Mahomes would be the only one of anyone on this list with 3 finals MVPs or championship MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs. Now, to be fair to Ruth, they didn't give that out when he was playing. But it is Ruthian. And he clocks Jordan. He clocks LeBron, except for in MVPs. It would be the greatest, and he annihilates Brady. It would be.
Okay. We're just kind of going on. We always go off the rails a little bit because comparing now to Brady and LeBron and Gretzky and Babe Ruth, it's just so. It just makes no sense. LeBron James went to the Cleveland Cavaliers, okay? So just stop. And I wholeheartedly disagree that a win, what a win would mean for Mahomes' legacy, that it would solidify him as the second best quarterback no matter what else happens, because I think he already has solidified that. So then a win would not mean that. Because then Nick even said, I think he already is the second best, and so does Brew. But then a win wouldn't mean that for his legacy. He already has it. So then theoretically a win here would essentially mean nothing. That's what it means to me. A win here would essentially do nothing for his legacy because a win here doesn't put him even higher. And if he's already at second, a loss here wouldn't drop him at all either. So he's already solidified himself as this all-time great. And trying to be like, well, look what he did more than LeBron James in basketball. Okay, I guess, but he was also the MVP 4 times. Mahomes was only 3. It's just silly. It's a silly comparison, quite frankly. And again, I'll be really honest. This video really puts it in so much context of why you should not compare different eras like this. This right here is 100% irrelevant. Now, again, I can't be any more clear. I am taking Patrick Mahomes over any of those quarterbacks. Can't be more clear. Like, I was making my face earlier, and I'm sure people were like, oh, why you don't like Mahomes? And I'm like, no, I'm saying Mahomes is already, you know, the second best or whatever. When Nick said a win would mean that I was making a face because I was like, that's already solidified. So I'm boosting up Patrick Mahomes. And again, let me say it again, very, very clearly. I will take Patrick Mahomes over any of those quarterbacks without a shadow of a doubt. I wouldn't even think twice. I'm like, Mahomes. Yeah, Mahomes. Oh, Mahomes. But comparing these eras means nothing. And let me show you why. These are the hits that Tom Brady took throughout his career. And again, this isn't meant to be a Mahomes versus Brady. This is just, the compilation that I found. It is just fundamentally different football. And it's not even close. And this is just the hits that quarterbacks had to deal with, let alone being able to throw in the middle of the field for wide receivers. It's fundamentally
They can still run
football.
people down. Brady in trouble. Here comes the rush, and here's the hit. Man alive.
Do you see how violent that
Brady's
is?
up. That's good to see, but what looked like a knockout hit by Nate Clemens, who
His
played
helmet
against Brady when
popped
they were
up to
both
the
in the
moon.
Big Ten.
No
Clemens
penalty,
said,
no nothing,
Ohio
just
State,
football.
Brady and Michigan.
That
Glad to see Brady get up. That was a knockout hit.
That hit gave me chills. That was scary. Brady.
Yeah. And it was totally okay. Totally okay. I mean, look at these hits. Just getting destroyed. Like, it's honestly uncomfortable to watch. I'm glad the NFL has changed. I am grateful. I would struggle to watch the NFL if this is what it still looked like. So the NFL was great in changing. And I'm grateful that Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, all these current quarterbacks don't have to deal with this. And again, this doesn't even put in context to what wide receivers and tight ends were subjected to. Again, like how how Tom Brady said that he makes throws that he would have never dreamed of making throws. You know, he made throws at the end of his career that he would have never made earlier on in his career. So again, this constant trying to compare, I mean, like, he's just getting his head knocked off. So that's why this whole idea of like, well, this would be one of the best beginnings or one of the best careers, like, I get, because again, I also talk about who's great, but like, that's why to me, it's honestly at the end of the day, it's more interesting. And even this is not that interesting because as much as I still talk about it, trying to figure out who is the best, like now, today, or even who's the best this season. Like in a lot of ways, I care less about who's been the best quarterback for the last like 5 years or something. Like, again, I still have those conversations because it can be interesting. But throughout this whole season, I actually find it so much more interesting to do it just by strictly the season. And to me, it was really highlighted when, yes, Patrick Mahomes had a down year. And when we saw Lamar Jackson having a great year, we saw Jaden Daniels having a great year. And I could see these conversations being had. I'm like, it's so much more interesting to me to talk about, to be like, this season, no accomplishments of the past, no predictions of the future, just this season. Like, isn't it kind of fun to be like, hey, I think Jaden Daniels is maybe having a better year than Patrick Mahomes? Like, it's more interesting to me. It's just a more interesting conversation to have than this constant, who is the GOAT? Who is the GOAT? Who is the GOAT? Who is the GOAT? Who's the best quarterback in the NFL now? Who's the best quarterback? It's just like, because it's the same conversation again and again and again. And the reality is like, the way how we get there in terms of like, who's better, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes? Like, again, it's based off of nonsense, honestly. It really is. And I'm tired by it personally. I really am. And my kind of school of thought is, my philosophy is kind of like, if I feel tired by it, I have to imagine that a lot of people also do. Right? And there's a reason why we all kind of come together here and have these conversations. Like, I have to imagine that if those are some of my thoughts, then like many other people have to have it too. And that's why I'm watching, Nick do his rankings and his mountain and all of that. I'm kind of like, being at a rich tapestry, I'm kind of like, it's so much more interesting to just be like, hey, Joe Burrow is playing great, but his team is not winning. What does that mean in terms of like where a quarterback ranks right now? Patrick Mahomes is winning a lot, but his numbers don't look good. It's so much more interesting rather than the concept. Well, we know Mahomes will be great in the playoffs. Well, he won a Super Bowl last year and he's the defending champ. And it's like, that's less interesting to me because that's everything just devolves into that. Well, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. It's like, yes, I got that. I understand that. But like, what about what's happening over here? What's happening today? I look down because that's where my clock is on my computer. It's just, it just is more interesting to me. And so again, trying to compare Patrick Mahomes to Montana and Elway, like it just doesn't make sense to me. They played essentially two completely different sports. And again, that's not my way of saying, oh, I'm trying to devalue Patrick Mahomes. I'm literally looking at you saying that I will take Patrick Mahomes over any of those quarterbacks, regardless of me saying that they're played in different, times. I'm telling you that I would take Patrick Mahomes over those guys without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. But I still think the conversation itself is just not necessarily worthwhile to have. And I just rather have the conversation about what's going on today rather than constantly trying to look in the past or rather constantly trying to create someone's legacy as it's happening. If Patrick Mahomes wins, it means he's the GOAT right now. And it's like, based off of your opinion, and not to mention the people that have one opinion and the people that have the other opinion, it's not really going to change. So you just get that constant clash, that constant back and forth. I'm fatigued by it. I wasted too much time. I wasted the heart of LeBron's career being like, well, he's not the GOAT. He's not the GOAT. When I could have just been appreciating LeBron for being LeBron and just being like, this is awesome. I don't care if he's the GOAT or not. He's awesome now. Let me just enjoy that. And people, like Stephen A was like, oh, if Mahomes three-peats, he is the GOAT. And it's like, why? Because he three-peated and Tom Brady didn't? That automatically makes him the GOAT? What about winning 7 rings? Like, it's just like, I don't understand. Like, again, it's made up criteria. It's made up criteria. And all of this is made up, at the end of the day. It's not lost on me, but if we're going to play by made up rules, made up legacies, made up whatever, made up comparisons, like, I don't know. I guarantee you those guys up there, especially Nick Wright, because I know how old he is. Nothing about Montana or Elway. Seriously, Brew is a lot older. Nick Wright, I think he's like 40 or something, or like 38 or something. He's definitely not older than that. He doesn't know Montana or Elway. Heck, even Peyton, during his like real prime, Nick was probably doing who knows what. Running around in college. I mean, like, seriously. You don't really know. You really know what it was like to watch Montana? Come on. Seriously. Just look at their pads and their helmets and their uniforms. Like, it's may as well be watching like a 1930s silent film that's like black and white. Where like, where they're like, nothing happens, and then a little like place card like comes up and it says like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. And it like cuts to another scene where someone's like, and you hear like piano playing. I mean, like, that's what football was back then. I mean, it just wasn't even remotely what we know it to be today. Even the film that we see, the highlights that we see of it, it's like everything kind of looks like it's in slow motion. Because just the quality of the film itself is just like messed up. Like, it's just not what it is today. So it just is meaningless to me. And again, just because people love to purposely mishear me, I'll say it again. I'll end right here. I am taking Patrick Mahomes over any of these other quarterbacks of the past. Okay? Can't be more clear about that. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Patrick Mahomes? What do you think a win would mean for his legacy, if anything? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here. I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.